Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's Growth Call. My name is Steve Jane. This is going to be a special edition. We're going to be opening the DAO for user testing. So we'll talk all about that, how you can get involved, and we have a whole new array of resources to help you learn about it and become a part of it. So we'll put a link to the Hangouts chat in the chat, the YouTube chat, and or if you prefer, you can post comments in the YouTube chat, and we will answer them as we can. Looks like we have a couple people on the line: Manfred, Runa, and Christoph. Hi, guys. So first, I guess we should do a quick overview of growth for the month of February. We're at the end of the month. It was a short month, so volume was a little bit low. We're going to be doing probably around 2.4 million in US dollar volume versus the 3.4 from last month. Daily average volume and trades were also slightly down. But on the bright side, the new release is doing quite well. We have, I think around, depending on the numbers you look at, around 4,000 downloads so far. And I think it just released last week. So it's looking quite good. Yeah, anything to add for the growth section so far, or
nothing special besides that the Monero market is really strong over the last 3 days. So if it continues like that, if we would have a month like that, then we would be way ahead of 6 million or more. So yeah, so if we have one strong market, yeah, it could change the game substantially.
Yeah, thank you. Forgot about that. Definitely.
Seems people like the increase of the trading limit, especially on the Monero. I've seen a lot of 2 Bitcoin trades now. And yeah, maybe for the next release, maybe we consider to go even higher, but yeah, we have to be a little bit careful to not overdo it.
And what's also really nice, as Florian set up the Bisq monitor, so you can go watch it on monitor.bisq.com. It's not just about technical monitoring, but also on trading stats. And there you can see the buy and sell offers. And if you look on a longer time frame, so I think we have around 30 days now already, and you see a constant increase on sell on the buyer side. So that's also a good sign that it's growing organically in form of liquidity, what's available on the platform.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, and I think even on the fiat side, the US dollar volume, or at least US dollar offers, has been quite high. Lots of offers and lots of activity on that front as well. So it's very good to see. All right, so I guess we can jump right into the DAO stuff. The Bisq DAO. So with the launch of the last Bisq software, we made a lot of bug fixes and improvements to the Bisq DAO. And over the past week, we've been testing the Bisq DAO software quite thoroughly. We just finished our first round with the new software this morning, and everything went quite well. So we are excited to invite users, everybody on the call, to join for the next round and to help us test and make this thing ready for a launch. And so a couple of things on that front. We have one event coming up. We have the MIT Bitcoin Expo. It's happening next week, end of next week. We're going to be on a panel. I'm going to be on a panel with CoinDesk reporter Hua Luan. I don't know if hope I'm pronouncing her name right. And a couple of other people from the decentralized exchange world to talk about decentralized exchanges and the present and future of the space. And content-wise, we've released some pretty exciting items. So we have a new YouTube series called the Bisq DAO in Brief, which is a thorough, top-to-bottom, one-stop kind of educational resource on the Bisq DAO. So it starts with the why the Bisq DAO, why is it happening, the what, the how, and then we go into the important things to know for traders, important things to know for contributors. And then we end with a technical overview so that you have an idea of what's actually happening in the background when you use the DAO. Very great resource. 7 videos, probably 3 to 5 minutes each, so you can get caught up in no time and have a good idea of what's happening and what it's all about. So highly encourage you to check that out. I'll put a link in the YouTube chat. Actually, I'll put it in the YouTube description after the call. Another good resource, the blog. So we, thanks to Aruna, we're now Aruna is spearheading an effort to jumpstart the blog and restart regular updates. Recently, we had a post, the Bisq DAO for Bitcoin Maximalists. This is a post if you are critical, if you know other people who are extra critical about the Bisq DAO, this is a great post to send them. It covers all the main objections of tokens and coins and everything from the crypto world that people love to rag on, and it covers all those objections quite well. So that's one thing to keep in mind if you encounter people on Twitter or whatever, and they don't seem to understand. Yeah. Oh, and then Aruna had a post today. Just today, a couple hours was posted on an overview of the Bisq network as a whole. So keep an eye on the blog. We're going to tweet about posts as they happen. And yeah, just keep an eye on the blog for regular. I think for now, we're going to do weekly updates. So pretty regular updates. And yeah, I think with that, we can jump into testing. As I mentioned, the DAO is now in the new proposal phase. It's now ready for testing from you and the broader community. We want to have as many people test the DAO as possible, make proposals, make a lot of proposals, a lot of votes, and just as many actions as we can possibly get to make sure that it's as ready for the big rollout in the next few weeks. So I guess I can share my screen. I have the Bisq software up here. Let me go ahead and screen share.
May I add here something? As we have discussed, we have not finalized and made it very concrete how we want to deal with it, but we would like to give bounties basically for all testers. So everybody who helps us testing the Bisq DAO can make compensation requests. So they then get into the real process to really be part of the Genesis distribution and get real BSQ when we launch. And how exactly it works and how much we are willing to pay for a normal test cycle, it's still a little bit in discussion, but something like between 20 and 50 BSQ, I think. And you should give a little bit of a feedback, something like a small survey. What was your feedback about the process and so on. And of course, if you find bugs and if you have any suggestion, feel free to make then GitHub issues and report it back. But hopefully that's an additional motivation for every Bisq user to help us to get the Bisq DAO on track.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to screen share. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. So this is the Bisq software. I'm currently running it in the test mode. So a couple things to note before you get to this point. Number one, you want to make sure that you are running the latest version of the software. So as of right now, that's 0.9.4. Anything earlier is not going to work because we were using the Bitcoin testnet for testing, but now we've switched over to a reg test network. So you have to make sure you're on 0.9.4. And you also want to make sure that you're in what we're calling DAO testnet mode. To get into that mode, you go to settings, and the drop down here in general preferences, you're going to pick Bitcoin DAO testnet. And once you pick that, you're going to restart Bisq. And when you start it up next time, it will be in this mode, in testnet mode. Alternatively, if you don't want to lose access to your if you have any open trades or disputes or anything in your regular mainnet Bitcoin instance, you can start the testnet mode from the command line. I've added instructions on how to do that in the doc, which I'll link in the description as well. It can just be helpful if you want to keep access to those things.
May I add here something quickly? When you switch to the network, all the data and everything at the wallet all is completely separated. There are two different folders. So there's in the data directory where everything Bisq related ends up. It's called the Bisq folder by default, and then there is a DAO testnet folder and a mainnet folder. So no data is shared. But as Steve said, when you want to run basically both in parallel, then you can add a program argument, app name, and then call it whatever you want, Bisq DAO, and then you create a second data directory, Bisq DAO, and then there is only the Bisq DAO there, and you can run basically Bisq in parallel in two applications, one for mainnet and one for the Bisq DAO.
Yep. 1 second, I lost my browser window. Okay. Yep. Yeah, so totally separate. Definitely good to know. Now, when you open Bisq in testnet mode, you're going to need test BSQ and test Bitcoin. And in order to get those, contributor can send them to you, but you're going to need to give them an address, which you can get from the funds section, the funds screen, the receive funds tab. There is an address right here. You can copy this address for your Bitcoin address, and then in the DAO screen, the BSQ wallet receive, you'll see your BSQ address there. When you request BSQ and BTC, make sure you include both of those addresses so a contributor can send you both BSQ and BTC. And you can feel free to request these on Slack or really wherever. I mean, the forum, Twitter, wherever, but usually people use Slack since it's just more convenient. But yeah, once you have requested funds and once you've received funds, you can verify that you've received your BSQ by looking at your, right here on your BSQ wallet. There's a wallet balance, and you'll see when you have some, you'll see it there. And then you'll be ready to go to the governance tab. So the voting cycle takes place in a series of phases. During the proposal phase, you can make a proposal. So you go to the proposal section, you'll see a drop down where you can choose the type of proposal you want to make. And every proposal has its own set of inputs. A generic proposal just requires your name and a link to more information. A compensation request will ask you for the amount you're requesting in BSQ. You can go through all the kinds of types of requests or proposals that you can make and test the ones you want. I encourage you to test as many as you can. So for now, I guess we can just make a generic proposal. I'm going to just put in a name and a link. And I guess just one note here, since this is just for testing, it's best if you just use an existing GitHub issue instead of making a new one. The link doesn't really matter a whole lot for testing. So, and then we're just going to go ahead and make a proposal. And
by the way, Justin, yeah, Manfred, do you want to say the same? That the screen capturing, the screen sharing is not taking the pop-ups or overlays. So I guess you might have to kind of a screen share of the whole desktop, or people have to imagine that there's some confirmation pop-ups and windows after these processes.
Yeah, that drop-downs for proposals was also not shown. It's when you select a special application, then it doesn't, because it's technically a second window and the screen sharing doesn't work. Then when you select with screen sharing the full desktop, then I think it usually works, but that's a small thing.
Okay, let me do that. Let's see. Okay, so I'm on the screen now. If I do screen share, entire screen. Okay.
I think with the entire screen it should work. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we can try. Can you see the drop down?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, but
Okay.
we also see the second screen.
Oh well, yeah. It's just it's one screen. I guess I should maybe maybe do that or move this down.
Okay.
That's a little bit better. Okay. Okay. So we just made a proposal. There was a confirmation screen, but you probably couldn't see that. But it just basically confirmed that the proposal did go through. And for extra proof, you can, of course, check out the block.
Sorry, Steve, to disturb you. I think it was better before because now it's very small and basically you cannot read it.
Okay. Okay.
I think people have to imagine that sometimes there are pop-ups and drop-downs. What they
I can also mention it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. So, okay. Yeah. So you see here on the transactions tab, you can see that the proposal we just made is recorded and looks like it was confirmed. That's quick. Yeah. And so, yeah, you can keep going through. Where am I? Oh, you can go through the proposal screen again and make as many proposals as you want. You can browse open proposals here. So you can see there's already some proposals from the current round. And I guess one thing to note is that during the proposal phase, you can also remove your own proposals. If you decide to, if you change your mind and you want to remove a proposal, you can do that. After the proposal phase, that's no longer possible at the moment. But that's it. I mean, you can go through the other functions as well. So there's bonding where you can go through and so here, for example, I proposed a bonded roll in the last cycle and haven't actually locked up my bond, so I can do that. This is actually showing me a dialog box right now asking if I want to confirm the transaction, and I'm going to say yes. And it's saying completed. Then there's asset listing, proof of burn. I encourage you to look through these, see if they are clear, if they work for you. If you get any kind of weird errors, just try to test them as thoroughly as you can. I tend to find that, let me find, yeah, I guess one thing to note is that this is a mechanism for social consensus that you can sovereignly attain yourself, kind of. So you can basically, you can connect a full Bitcoin Core node to Bisq and come to social consensus on managerial and strategic decisions for the Bisq DAO in a totally sovereign way with the integrity of the Bitcoin network. And for me, it helps to think about that going through it, because if this was just a basic, CRUD style app, Ruby on Rails or whatever, it may not seem very impressive, but when you think about what's actually going on behind the scenes and what you're achieving, it's pretty cool. So that's it. Just go through and make proposals and, see what you can find, see what you can learn, and feel free to send us feedback on Slack or the forum or GitHub or whatever is convenient for you. That's the whole point of these couple of weeks. We want to test it as thoroughly as possible, and your feedback will be invaluable. So let me, yeah.
Great. May I add a few things? One thing is we would like to have a little bit more realistic voting or behavior. So feel free also to make proposals which likely will be rejected. Like, for instance, using a username which is already like, I'm a scammer or whatever, then everybody should reject it, just to mimic a little bit more that not everybody is basically accepting everything. So it gets a little bit more interesting that people or ignore or reject proposals as well. I think the most important for us is to really focus on the proposals and on the voting. There are many other features, like Steve has mentioned, the bonding and the asset fee listing and the bonded reputation. So they are a little bit complex and require a little bit more UI improvement also to make it more easy to understand. It's not in our main focus because they are basically on the side. They are not the most important things. So don't worry when that's confusing and you don't understand what's going on, especially the bonded reputation is, or the proof of burn is a thing which requires a lot of background information to make sense. And another small thing is that you can run the Bisq DAO as a light mode, which is the default, and then you get the blocks, the filtered blocks from the seed nodes, or you can run it as a full node. Then you have to run Bitcoin Core with RPC enabled and all this. Unfortunately, at the moment, because of this change with RegTest, it's a little bit complicated to do this. And actually, we don't recommend that you are running it as a full node at the moment, because it could carry some risks that you cause a big rework and then all that testing get invalidated and so on. So if you really want to do it, please get in touch in Slack with me directly, and instruct you about that you really know how to do it correctly. But basically, you don't need it. So that's not the most important thing at the moment to test. And I think from my point of view, maybe we can have a look to the results of the previous voting round, Steve.
Yeah, sure. So if you go to the governance tab on the vote results tab, you'll see the last voting rounds of cycle.
Could you enable your screen sharing again?
Oh, yeah. 1 second. Forgot. Here. Yeah. So we're on the governance tab and the vote results section. And if we click on cycle 4, on the bottom, you'll see all the proposals that were made and the result. So we had quite a bit. We actually had a handful of users also step up. We had a good number of contributors, and we had a handful of users. I know I sent BSQ to a good handful of people, at least 8 or 9 people. So yeah, it was a good round. Hopefully we can make this round even bigger.
Yeah, maybe important to note also is that you can make a proposal, but you don't need to vote. Usually, of course, you want to vote on your own proposal, and you can vote without having made a proposal, or you can do both.
Yeah. So if you enter around, oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, when you do voting, as in the next phase in 5 days or so, the voting starts, and it's actually 2 phases, and it's very important that you start your application in the second phase as well, as in this vote reveal. There are 2 times a rough 1 or 2 days. And it's important then that you're starting just your application in the vote reveal phase and wait until you get the pop-up that your vote reveal transaction has been published. Otherwise, nobody could decrypt your blind vote, which is encrypted, and your vote will not be counted in the result.
Yeah, so that's testing the Bisq DAO. I think it's once you're set up, once you get in testnet mode, you have BSQ and BTC. Making proposals is pretty straightforward, so it doesn't take more than a couple minutes, and your feedback would be greatly helpful to us. So I think that's all I have. Anything else anyone else wants to add?
I just added a bounty task on GitHub as a GitHub issue. So if you're a developer and a Java developer and interested to help us here, a quite not very complicated issue would be at least to add a comment separated values list in the result phase, so we can export it. Also the data what you see in the UI, that you can export it to a spreadsheet and get all the data displayed in a spreadsheet, and that would help us to compare data between different nodes if everything is really the same. I mean, we add some more stuff like this on a more lower technical level, but yeah, it would be a helpful tool to not have it only in the UI, but export it to a spreadsheet and have it there as well. And we are continuing to work on UI improvements at the moment to get a good overview about the proposals, and voting is not really very optimal. The tables are a little bit too small and so on. So we'll keep working on improving this. Probably with the next release, you will see quite a bit of UI improvements in that area. And again, if you're a developer and want to help us here, I mean, it requires Java skills, but beside this, there are many tasks which you can just start without really knowing, or the need to know a lot about Bisq itself.
Yeah, and if you have contributed this month to the Bisq network, don't forget to file your compensation request. Today is the last day of the month, and yeah, I will lock down the compensation requests end of the day. So don't forget to create a real compensation request also. As the Bisq DAO is not released soon, we live it already for more than a year, and yeah, it just gets programmatically from the management point of view.
Yeah, and for all real contributors, please do it in parallel in the Bisq DAO as well. So we get with the same numbers, and so just to have, I mean, it's not really related or so, but just to have getting more in a realistic game.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. It's one of those things that a lot of people kind of make fun of or criticize other token projects about, is that it's all just theoretical vaporware. But the mechanisms for proposals and for compensation has been in action on Bisq for several months now, and the DAO formalizes this. But the processes, the human processes, have been happening for a while already. So just something to note. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, maybe wait a few moments on the YouTube chat. And if not, then yeah, hope to see you guys reach out for testing. We're happy to send BSQ and BTC to get you started. And yeah, look forward to your feedback. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.